Good evening and welcome everyone. I'm Allison Singer. I'm the co-founder and president of the Autism Science Foundation. Tonight's program is called Coming Back for Science and Sandwiches, a conversation with my psychiatrist. It features Paul Morris, who is an adult on the autism spectrum who has worked with Dr. Martin here at the Yale Child Study Center for many years. And now that he's an adult, he's going to be speaking to Dr. Martin about his experience, what's changed in the autism community, what we've learned, and what we can all learn from the experience, the wonderful relationship between this doctor and patient. So with that, I am so proud and excited to turn the program over to Paul Morris.
My name is Paul Morris. Many of you know me from the past. Some of you worked with me. I was nonverbal until age 5. I had to be taught how to speak, how to listen, and how to think. The years were hard. Sometimes I just didn't understand. But look at me now. I graduated from the college internship program at the Berkshire Center in Lee, Massachusetts. I have always wanted to do public speaking at various colleges for people who major in psychology and special education. I want to talk about my life with autism. Autism is a genetic disorder that affects the brain and communication. When I was a little boy, I did not know that I was different. When I became an older person, I wanted to do my own things, like hang out with friends, like my brothers Jesse, Tyler, and my sister Sabrina. I did not know how to hang out with friends. My parents wanted me to learn how to speak and communicate. It is not only about words, it is about behavior. It took me a long time to learn how to socialize with people. I am still learning what that means. I went to middle school. The kids didn't understand me. I think they were afraid of me because of my autism. It also took a long time for people to know how to socialize with someone like me. I didn't understand when kids told me to do wrongdoings. Sometimes kids are rude. Then they were the kids that were nice to me. They were kind and they sat next to me in the cafeteria, but I did not go to recess because they said it wasn't good for me. Today, I would suggest that special ed kids should go to recess and have an aide help them. I learned that language is not only about speaking, it is about relationships. I was taught relationship development intervention. It was very hard for me. Eye contact was hard for me to do in the beginning, but look me in the eye. I am good at it now. I met Dr. Martin in the fall of 1999. I couldn't control myself. I would explode, I would obsess, I would cry in pain. He tried to help me with medicine. The best things about high school were small classes in English and math. I also enjoyed lunch groups in the guidance office. We made a friendship blanket and everyone signed it. Some of those kids were very nice to me and still contact me by phone, email, and Facebook. I started the college internship program in Lee, Massachusetts on July 3rd, 2006. The program was called Aspire. I looked up the definition of Aspire. It means to dream, to pursue, to try, to wish, to struggle. I struggled in the beginning, living on my own. I learned about hygiene, cooking, cleaning, how to get a job, self-awareness, taking care of my money and figuring out my problems. Classes like Theory of Mind, realizing about how hours taught to you in hidden curriculum were challenging. The C-STEP Career Skills Training Employment Program is very important for people who don't go to college. I took classes in self-awareness, critical thinking, English, math, working with people, office procedures, succeeding in the world of work, business correspondence, and internships. My best internship was at the Norman Rockwell Museum doing data entry and mailings to colleges for art history programs. Advising sessions were very important at CIP. We did self-assessment forms. I rated my performance every week, and my advisor did it too. The grades are listed as underperforming, average, honors, and mentor. One day, freshman year, my parents invited me to a Brewers Mets game. My mom gave me an option. A, do you want to go and find a way to get yourself home? Or B, do you want to stay at school? I picked A. I researched Peter Pan bus on the internet and learned that I could take a bus from Lee, Massachusetts to Danbury, Connecticut. I bought the ticket and traveled by myself. When I stepped off the bus, I said the mentor has arrived. When I graduated in May, I was on mentor status for 26 weeks in a row. At our graduation convocation ceremony, I won the award for Most Improved Student. I also earned a certificate for 44 hours of community service because I performed in a puppet show for children since toiletries to Africa. My favorite award, which I won 3 years in a row, was for recreational excellence. I never missed a meeting on Monday nights where I made suggestions for weekend activities. I researched directions on MapQuest, how much it costs to assist the residential coordinator in planning. I also was an officer in Student Senate. It has been a very long way for me. I have worked very hard to achieve. I now live in New York. I work at New York Medical College as a human resources assistant. I do data entry, scanning, shredding, copying, filing, and mailings. My supervisor, Tom, is my mentor and a friend. I wrote a letter to President Obama in 2009. Dear President Obama, my name is Paul Morris. I am a 21-year-old guy who is high-functioning autistic. I was normal until the age of 5. Now that I am looking for work and living with roommates, I'm worried about my life. It is going poorly for autistic adults because the funding is over. I want to create programs for autism spectrum disorders. Today, you donate lots of money to autism from Paul Morris. I want new interventions to help with autistic people. I want good education for them to learn. I want jobs and help with living. I want to do great things. Thank you for listening.
That's great. Did President Obama respond?
I'm not really sure.
Check the mail. You might, and he did. But you have some questions for me, right?
Yes, Dr. Martin.
I'm a little bit nervous. Should I be nervous, Paul?
You should be okay.
All right.
When you first met me, what was I like?
Well, you've always been wonderful. You've always been very friendly. And you know, when people think of autism, they don't necessarily think of the word friendly. They don't think that folks with autism are necessarily friendly. But you've always been friendly. You've always been very friendly. And I don't know if people caught that, but you're one of how many brothers and sisters? 4. So how many people here know quadruplets? Probably not many, right? Do you know any other quadruplets?
I think that's it.
That's it, yeah. It's very rare. So you were very special, not only because you were very friendly, but because you've been the only quadruplet who I've ever met. So that made you very special.
How have I changed?
Well, you were friendly, but you also had some problems back then. Your behavior sometimes was very challenging at home. Sometimes it was difficult to get things done. There were some times when there was some aggression, when it wasn't always friendly. And in all these years, I think I was counting since 1999, so that's maybe 13 years. That's a long time. In 13 years, your behavior has been great, by and large, with a couple of little hiccups here and there, but very few. And you have just grown tremendously. Not only physically, you've become like taller than me. Yeah, when I met you, you weren't that big. You were like little. But you've grown a lot. You've gone through a lot of things. To see you finish school, to see you go through more education, even the last time that I saw you a couple of months ago, you were so proud, and I was so proud to learn of the new job that you had, that you told us about at the New York Medical College. Did I get that right?
I think so. And also I work at another job.
Oh, you do?
At Oppenheimer.
That one I don't know about.
That's my dad's company. he works in Stanford and I work in White Plains, so I'm working 15 hours a week.
Wow, and what do you do there?
I do 2 days in New York Medical and 1 day at Oppenheimer doing the office work.
That's great. You know, now that you mentioned your dad, there's another thing that I remember when I first met you. I said, you know, this guy, Paul, he really chose his parents well. I said, you know, out of all the parents that you could have chosen in the world, you chose a very good pair. That really impressed me. We're a man of good taste.
I'm very proud of my parents and I'm really happy.
Yeah, you did good.
What do you think is my biggest accomplishment?
Well, I think that the level of independence that you achieved is remarkable. You know, it's great. You check in with mom and dad, but you're not there all the time. You have your life, you have your work. You've achieved a lot of independence, and I think that that is great. But while you have a very independent life, you're also very connected, right? You're always checking in with your brothers, with your sister, with your mom, with your dad. With me, you're always very concerned about people. So again, people might have this idea that folks with autism don't necessarily care a lot about other people, that they're all about themselves. But that hasn't been my experience, certainly with you and with many other folks with autism that I know, that you've been very, very caring. You've always been very concerned about other people. Am I right in that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
What changes are there in autism research?
Well, you know, it's a field that is very exciting because when you were little, and certainly before you were born, autism was a little bit of this mystery disease that we didn't know anything about. We thought it was very rare. We didn't know what caused it. And if you can even imagine this, Paul, way back when, we even thought that maybe parents were somehow to blame for this. So we as a field were not necessarily very nice. And we were saying, well, you know, maybe it's your parents' fault. So those were the very dark days when we didn't know what was going on. But over the last, I don't know, 30, 40 years, we've learned a whole lot. And we've learned that autism, as you said, has something to do with genes. So that's one of the things, that somehow how our genes work can have something to do with it. We also know that our brains are a little bit different. And it doesn't mean that one is better and one is worse. It's that they're different, that we have slightly different ways of seeing things and doing things, and we're learning about that. We're also learning that some of the things that sometimes can get you in trouble, like for example doing the same thing over and over again, or you know, wanting your things to be in a certain way. Does that sound familiar? Something that you know?
That sounds right.
Right. So that can sometimes be a problem, because sometimes it can be hard to do things in a different way. But that can also be a very big strength. And if you think of how diligent and how dedicated and how precise and how devoted you have been to the things that you've done in your life, to your writing, to your work, to your attendance, to your regularity, to your really taking care of business, that is great. You know, if everybody in this country was as good a worker as Paul Morris, I think that President Obama would be writing to you for, you know, saying, give me more, because you have a lot to teach us all on how to be good workers.
Absolutely. How do you think people like me can be helped socializing?
Well, I think that we're doing it right now. You know, I think that a lot of people in this crowd probably would be more nervous than you are sitting up here. You know, and you're teaching them that you can hold your own, that you can feel very comfortable with people. I think that you can show that not only are you just as able as anybody else, but probably even better than some people in sitting up here and not being afraid at all. So one thing is that to give you and folks with autism opportunities to do anything that they want. You said that you wanted to be a public speaker, right? Did I get that right?
I think so.
Well, look at you. You are now a public speaker. You're doing it. Right? Nothing is stopping you. This is just one of many, I'm sure. You're just getting started. So I think that that's one, to give opportunities, right? What else? I think that, as I was saying jokingly before, you chose very well your parents, but it's no joke. I think that working together with your families, with your schools, you talked about how you became a mentor, but you've also had some very good mentors, right? how people have taught you and you in turn have taught other people. And the more that you can be in those sort of situations, I think the better. I think you found many of those. And part of it is that you have the ability to make those opportunities happen. I think that you're also a pretty persistent guy. Do I have that right?
That's right.
You don't give up. You don't take no for
I never give up.
You never give up, right. So maybe the first 130 times that you applied to the New York college, they said no. But the 131st time, you got in, and now you're doing a great job. So you've been very persistent, you've been very dogged, and that is really, really, really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that all of us could learn lessons in persistence from you.
My next question is, what is your advice for families?
Well, I would say my first advice is to be like Robin and Danny Morris. That would be my first advice. And that means, if we were going to distill some of the things about these two wonderful folks, is to be very, have a lot of confidence and a lot of faith in your child. Your child might have some disability, some difficulty, some things might not come as easy, but to never give up. Just like you're not a quitter, I think that your parents are not quitters. And that would be the first thing to say. Yes, this is going to be a challenge. Yes, sometimes it's not going to be a walk in the park, but look at what comes on the other side. Look at all the opportunities. So never give up. I think that would be one. The other might be, persist in the relationships. And the relationships can be the relationship with your doctor, which I am very fortunate to have this relationship now for all these years with you, but the relationships with your schools, the relationships with your school districts, with your communities, with your friends, with all of those people that become a part of your life. I think it's also be aggressive, looking for better treatments. And here we have another great star. Isn't she a star?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you want? Should we brag her off a little bit and say the wonderful things that she has done? Do you want to put in a plug for this invention? Do you want to say a little bit about this foundation?
Sure.
So what is it that Allison put together? Do you know? What is the Autism Science Foundation?
Well, Autism Science Foundation is searching, solving, and sharing.
Right. And folks like Allison have said, we're not going to be satisfied with just the treatments that we have for autism. We're going to really push the field. We're going to push scientists. We're going to push the government. We're going to push all these people to give us better treatments. And little by little, we're doing that. Through some of the research that they fund, that the government funds, we found not only about the genes in the brain that I was talking about, but we're finding that there are some treatments that can help. Treatments that range all the way from medication, that sometimes can be helpful.
Absolutely the right thing.
Yeah, to finding cures. Someday maybe we'll be able to really cure cases of autism, if you will. That may not be the best term, because I don't, if I had a magic wand and I could poof, take your autism away, should we do that? If we had that magic wand and poof, we could make your autism go away. What do you think? Should we do it or not?
I think it wouldn't be the right thing. The best thing is medication.
Well, but if we had a magic medication that we could give you and poof, your autism would go away, do you think, would you take that medicine? Should we think of that medicine?
It should go fine.
What's that?
It should be great.
You think so?
It reminds like the story of Cinderella.
Yeah. So what would happen? You would take this magical pill and your autism would go away, and then what would happen?
You'll be normal as who you are.
But you are normal as who you are. You are normal as who you are, but you happen to have autism.
Well, you will learn to have good speaking, good thinking, and brains. That's what I'm saying.
So we need to continue looking for better treatments, right? So that the next kids with autism can have it a little bit easier than you do, right?
Okay.
Is that a good plan?
Well, we'll see about that.
Okay.
How can people with autism improve themselves?
Well, I think that you've already given us a lot of examples, which is finding what you're good at and what you may be a little bit less good at. And say, well, maybe I'm not so good at, I don't know, what are you not good at and what are you good at? Let's ask you that.
I'm not good at getting along with bullies or things that bother my mind, like people make fun of me, all that stuff. I very seriously, in my own words.
Right. So you don't want to be around people who are not friendly.
We have to be very people who are friendly. That's the key.
So the key is to be around nice people. People who are going to be supportive, right?
Excellent.
And you want to be around people who are going to be supportive and telling you, yes, Paul, you did that great. Why don't you do the next thing, the next challenge? So
Okay.
those are some of the things. And you're doing them because each time you have a bigger and bigger job and more responsibilities. I didn't even know about this new one about Oppenheimer.
That's a company we went out, started working since last end of October,
Uh-huh.
and the branches in White Plains we went out was in Stanford. And I'm just really happy. I'm doing a really good job.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure he really appreciates your help.
How do you see my future?
Well, I see your future continuing to work. I don't know exactly what you're going to be doing, but I know that you're going to be working very, in a very determined and focused way. I see you very connected over the years and time, and no matter where you and where they live, I see you very connected with your brothers and your sisters. I see you very connected with your parents, and I see you very connected with your community, which is what you're doing here. You know, what you're doing here is that you're not only connecting with one person or with two people, you're connecting with a whole community. And I think that many of the people who walked into the room here probably didn't even know what autism is, and probably had an idea in their mind of what a person with autism is like, and then they said, damn, look at that, Paul Morris. I didn't know that autism was like that. And that's a big service. That's a big service because, have you heard of this big word called stigma? Have you heard that word?
Yes.
Do you know what that means?
Stigma is, I'm not sure what stigma means.
So stigma is when people have like a bad impression of people. You know, they say, well, I think that folks with autism are not friendly, and they're difficult, and they're mean, or whatever.
I think people with autism should be cured, I wish,
Yeah.
for help.
Yeah, I think that we can all hope for that, but I also think that people will now have a better idea of what a person with autism looks like. A person with autism is smart, can talk, can give a speech in front of people, can raise awareness, can give tips, can ask for help, can give back. These are all great things.
It's a great thing, and the last question we have is, are there better medications?
Well, you know, I know that you and I have known each other a lot around the medications because you used to take medications. Do you take any medications now?
Just the Abilify.
Just the Abilify. And do you think it has helped?
It's helped a lot. I like the Abilify. Now I take 2 small pills just at night.
And how has it helped you, would you say?
It helped it great. I get tired sometimes once in a while, but you know, I just want to feel good for myself.
How do you feel better when you take it than when you don't? You can just leave it there.
Sorry about my card, just going to put it down.
Okay. You say that it helps you, so how does it help you?
It has helped me to focus and do great things and advocate for myself.
Yep.
Called self-determination.
Yep. Now, I want to tell you, I think that maybe the Abilify has a little bit to do with that, but most of it, I think it has to do with you.
I think it's great. I guarantee. If anyone wants to see Dr. Martin for medication treatment, it'd be a really, really great idea I've ever seen.
Did you guys hear it? And I have to say that if you people want someone to teach you about autism, I think that you should talk to Paul Morris because I think he'll give you the best explanation of what autism
I'll
is.
recommend a lot of people to you from me because I'm helping a lot of people in states and everywhere.
I think we have a mutual fan club here, right?
The Dr. Martin Moore Show, that's what
That's right. That's right. Now, I have to say that you've done a super job with these questions, and you worked really hard with these questions. And I'm wondering, we have a lot of people here, and you think you'd be okay taking some questions from the crowd?
If you want to ask a question, could you raise your hand?
Yeah, and if they raise their hand, I have a microphone that I can give them. Is that okay? So let's see who's brave, okay? I told you, you're very brave. Let's see if they're as brave as you.
Do you want me
Let's
to
see.
take the microphone?
Let's try who's going to raise their hand.
They're a little shy, but give them some time. Oh, we have someone. Wait, we have a microphone for that. You keep that one.
You keep yours.
You keep that.
I have a question for Paul. Were you on other medications before the drug you're on now?
I used to take different ones before the Abilify, but some of them didn't work out for me in the late 1999 and early 2000. It didn't work out for me because I was out of control. It wasn't great.
Do you think you've learned to be in control just from growing up?
I feel good in control now.
Do you think it's more from just growing up in your age?
We just have to be good on our own age. That's the serious answer to my idea.
That just growing older has made it easier as well?
I think so.
Well, you're more of a man.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next question.
How have your brothers and sisters helped you?
They helped me hang out with friends and do different things, and we do a lot of sporting events every year in college basketball. And for example, every week I help with the Lafayette men's basketball team from Eastern PA, Pennsylvania, talking about autism. I came volunteering 2 other schools, Vermont and Harvard. Now I do Lafayette for 4 years.
That's very brave.
And you know what, sweetie? I want to say you're very brave. How old are you?
11.
Wow, you get the silver medal for bravery. You know who gets a gold medal for bravery?
If you want to be brave, it's a great idea.
I think you're doing just fine, and thank you for being here. That was a great question.
Yeah, my brother has autism too.
Oh, really?
Paul's brother was a special friend who helped my son, Levi, who has autism, so sort of in the family, but his siblings have really reached out, not only in terms of helping Paul, but in the community and reaching out to other other children who have autism as well.
Well, that's wonderful. Can I ask a question back? And I'm sorry, sweetie, I missed your name.
Raya.
Rhea. Can I ask a question, Rhea?
Yeah.
So it sounds that you know quite a bit and that you have a brother who has autism. So what's it like to have a brother who has autism? We're learning about autism. What can you teach us about autism?
Well, like at school, a lot of kids, not a lot of kids, but some kids sort of like are like saying stuff to him that he doesn't understand, and I'm trying to teach him to like understand that they're trying to make fun of him, but he doesn't understand that. He's just like playing along. Like I was in New Jersey, and like a couple of kids were like, "Hey, I think I know you," and he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh no!" Like I pulled him away, and I'm like, "Yeah, they're trying to make fun of you." He's like, "No, they're not. They just like think they saw. They're just said they think they saw me, but they probably don't, because we don't live around there, and he's like not very social around there. So sometimes he makes me embarrassed, and I feel like I want to just disappear."
And are there times when you can feel happy for him? Are there times, the
Yeah.
opposite of embarrassment, when you say, wow, I'm really proud of him? Or
Yeah.
tell us some of those moments.
Well, like in school, he has this check chart, and he's sort of like wild and can't control himself sometimes. And you can get check or minuses, and one time on his check chart, I saw him get a lot of checks, and I felt really happy because he improved a lot.
That's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, if you were to come across anyone who also has autism, what would be like a simple piece of advice you would give them?
What are you saying?
No, basically what would be like any advice you would give to anyone with autism if you ever come across to someone else who has autism?
The term of autism is I'm high functioning now, and I've been high functioning for like mid to late 1990s, and after it was severe and then turned mild, and now I'm high functioning because I want to be different than the same.
Yeah, and so what would be some advice that you would give to someone else who has autism?
I guess some of the people with autism, to the doctors and psychiatrists, have a good voice, medication treatment, and there's a lot going on.
But you know, I think that one of the things that you said in there, Paul, that might be helpful advice, you said that you started being low functioning and you became better functioning and you've improved a lot, right?
That's right, that's right.
So one piece of advice might be to say you can look forward to things getting better.
We're looking forward to do things getting better, that's why.
Perfect. So that would be some helpful advice. I think that people would like to hear that.
My name's Ivana. I'm a visiting medical student from Chicago. And I just had a question. You said that you always knew that you wanted to be a public speaker. Were you ever nervous about speaking in front of people? And if so, how did you overcome this?
Sometimes I was nervous like speaking, but I'm like a John Elder Robinson type.
What does that mean?
Well, I was like the type because I want to be like him. He's one of my favorite book authors who wrote this book, Look Me in the Eye, My Love of Autism, Asperger's. And he wrote his second book, Be Different. So I'm like him because I want to be just like him, and that was my goal. That was my dream.
Ivana, have you had nervousness about speaking in public?
Yes, I do. So I wanted to see if you could. I do. I would be very nervous sitting in the spot that you are. So I was specifically asking if you had any tips for overcoming nervousness in public.
I have a lot of tips for nervous, like don't be nervous, don't be shy, just feel happy who you are.
Excellent.
I'm Suman. I'm coming from San Antonio. It's a long way. So my question is for Paul. What you're doing is really, really great, and I really admire you for what you're doing. So if there are three things that you would like, what would they be? It could be goals or some bucket list, or if there are three things that you would have on your list, what would they be?
The goals on the bucket list is to be independent, who you are, self-awareness, self-determinate yourself. There are a lot of things on the autism spectrum. I would just want to find a cure.
So you would like to be independent.
Independent.
You would like to find a cure for autism.
Mm-hmm.
And you have one more wish.
And one wish is to learn how to speak.
You're speaking beautifully. What do you mean? Come on.
I am speaking.
Get a real wish.
Sorry. my dream, my goal is to be like my brothers and sisters. Same thing, but a lot of goals are different. But just want to be independent, just like them. I feel better with the same things, so I'm really happy.
Can you tell us a little bit about your brothers and your sister, because people here don't know them. Tell us about them. Brag about them. Tell us about them.
Oh, I'm a quadruplet, and I have two brothers and a sister. I was born last, Sabrina was born first, Jesse second, and Tyler third. That was right.
And what are they doing now? Tell us about their lives right now.
My sister's a coach of PR firm, my brother Jesse's doing his own business, Street Smarts Media, and my brother Tyler's at Brooklyn Law School, wants to be a lawyer. That's right.
So all four of you are gainfully employed and doing great things.
Excellent.
I am a teacher, and I want to know what is the nicest thing that a teacher has done for you?
The teacher has done for me is, well, I started with a speech therapist to learn how to speak, and then late 80s, early 1990s, and there was a lot going on. Then I started talking at age 5, and then I became hyperactive later because I want to be different and the same. Like, just want to be just like my brothers and sister. That's all.
Is there a teacher that you remember in particular that was really meaningful to you?
Very nice.
Is there a teacher in particular that you?
I have a nice teacher in high school, Tom Curley, and he was a really nice man. He was a former case manager. I call him the nickname, my narrator friend, Tom Curley. And we were like the New York Yankees and Dodgers in the World Series of Friendship.
I think that Dr. Block over there just had almost like a seizure when he heard that he liked the New York Yankees, you said?
Oh, I like the Yankees and Dodgers.
Oh, so this is a time to pass the microphone to Dr. Block back there, please. Dr. Block, I'm sorry, I know you were very disturbed when you heard that, but do you want to add some comment?
So I guess I was curious who your favorite baseball player is.
You know my favorite baseball player is? I like Sandy Koufax, Baseball Hall of Famer. And you know my favorite baseball player right now? I like Brandon League, closer of the Los Angeles Dodgers, who's coming from the Seattle Mariners.
So the Dodgers are still in it. Do you think they're going to make the playoffs?
We should make it, but I'm really disappointed that we're trying to win the wild card, but St. Louis is very difficult.
So what do you think about the trade that the Dodgers made with the Red Sox?
I was really happy. I was happy.
And now I have a very personal question. You can be very frank here, but what do you think about the Mets? Just tell us the truth.
I think the Mets were not good because we don't have a lot of. We have one pitcher who's doing good, R.A. Dickey, but our team is just not good. We don't have a good manager, Terry Collins, but.
You don't like Terry Collins?
But one of the good managers of all time is on the Mets. I'm going to say Gil Hodges, who won the 69 World Series with the Mets, and Davey Johnson from '86. Those are the best two.
So I missed some of those details, but what I understand is that the Mets are not doing so good.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry, Dr. Block, but moving from baseball.
Hi, Paul. I'm Jordan. I'm a medical student here. It's a bit of a different question from baseball, but I was wondering, from your conversations maybe with your siblings or your friends, what are some of the ways that you think that you see the world differently, or your perspective is different from?
I see the difference for me versus other autistic people.
Or from other people, other friends, or your siblings. How's your outlook different? How do you
I'm
see
different
the world?
from my brothers and sisters. I have a special needs difference, and I want to get cured. Just like he helped me in all these years, Dr. Martin, and just want to thank him for all the hard work.
Thank you, but I think let's try it again, because Jordan has a really good question, and it's a hard question.
So it's a hard question.
It's a hard question, but let's try it again. If you, Paul, were to compare yourself to your brothers and your sister, for example, how do you think that you guys see the world differently? Or do you see the world differently, or you see the world the same way?
I feel the world is different.
How so? What's different between how you and Sabrina see the world, for example?
Because we get along together, same, but we have different topics. I think it's a deal.
Okay.
How about in your relationships? How have they evolved? Like how do you relate to other people now compared to when you were younger?
Well, I wasn't different in the past, but I want to be different because back when I was 10 years old, I didn't like mean things before I was with my brothers and sisters. And that wasn't easy for me. Because I didn't like being with the same thing. I want to be different, like the normal, the learning disabilities, the who you are's, and because I want to be high functioning autistic as much as I want. Your turn.
So, hi Paul, thanks for coming and sharing your story. My name is Tiffany, and Dr. Martin mentioned that you had wonderful parents, or you have wonderful parents. What advice would you give to parents who do have children on the spectrum?
I recommend like learn to speak, do early intervention. There's a lot going on, and I recommend medicine treatment if you want to see a psychopharmacologist, and just do well with stuff the obsessions.
I actually, Tiffany, right? So Tiffany has a follow-up question that Tiffany didn't know, but Tiffany's question is, Robin and, yeah, I know Robin, but you know, Robin and Danny, you were wonderful, just like Paul was wonderful in picking you guys as parents, you were wonderful in picking him as a son. So what advice, you know, following in what Tiffany is asking, what do you say as parents of someone with autism? What advice would you say, and what's it like?
Well, I would say actually that raising quadruplets makes it a little bit different than a typical parent situation, but I think in raising 4 babies, we made the rules the same for everybody. So if Paul threw something on the floor, he would be encouraged to pick it up the way the next kid threw it on the floor. Whatever they did was something that he was part of the group. We didn't make the rules different because he had autism. If he was too loud or he tantrumed or whatever went on, we made sure that if somebody else did the same thing, they had to have the same responsibilities. And I think that was really important to our keeping it together with the 4 kids. And by osmosis, he kind of benefited from that, I think. But in terms of the intervention, I think it was really tough love for all of us. For Danny, who his heart melts every time he's in Paul's space. It's hard to say no, and it's hard to be for his own good and try to get him to comply and learn how to ask for whatever he wanted when he couldn't speak. And those were very tough years when he couldn't speak. I mean, he didn't really speak words till he was 5. That was very, very difficult. So you have a point there?
All I'd like to say is that you just can't ever give up. Just like Paul never gave up, we never gave up. We tried every possible thing, and this is, you know, 20 years ago, I can tell you, in the last 20 years, things have come a long way. We used to travel down to Bethesda, Maryland to see Dr. Greenspan. My wife and Paul spent a couple months up in Montreal doing auditory training with Dr. Benet. We tried everything that we possibly could. We just decided we weren't going to give up. That was our, even with the 3 other kids, that we were going to do everything possible to make him so that he could hopefully one day live an independent life. And I got to give Paul all the credit in the world, because, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but Paul has taken it. He's never said, you know, this is too much, or I don't want to go to that treatment, or I'm not going to try that, or I'm just, you know, I'm tired of all this stuff. He's always wanted to be just like his brothers and sister. And because of that, I think he's one of the reasons why he's made such tremendous progress.
I just wanted to say one thing. In terms of the spectrum of autism, their hard work is not the only thing that makes one improve or not improve. There are many kids with a disability that no matter how much intervention you throw at them, doesn't mean that they're going to exceed your expectations. You raise the bar as high as you can. I do believe you never stop trying. But it wasn't only because of the tenacity that Paul had or that we had. It was, you know, sometimes it's luck of the draw. And when I did try things like auditory training in Canada, which was a benign thing, I don't know that it did anything. I'm not a proponent of rogue kind of interventions. If it's something that's benign, okay, do what you want. But I'm not looking for chelation or something like that. It's something that would hurt him. Having said that, I think that it was a little bit of our pushing, and a lot of Paul's tenacity and the luck of the draw with his particular autism. And we love him to pieces.
And you know, Tiffany, that was a great last question, and she has a third follow-up question. And she's saying, you know, I know that Paul's brothers and sister are not here tonight, but if they were here tonight, Tiffany asks, what do you think they might want to add? What's the perspective? We've heard from one wonderful sibling. You have 3 wonderful siblings. What do you think they would say, and what would they be saying of this young man here holding court at Yale?
What do you think Jesse, Ty, and Breen would say to you right now? Do you think they'd be proud of you, buddy?
I think so.
I think so. I think
That's what's exciting.
I think, once again, they adore Paul the way they do each other. But I am telling you that they get mad at him the way they do each other. They don't put him on a pedestal. They don't make him different than they are with each other. he knows when he can push, you know, their buttons, and they know when they can push his, and probably that worked. They've always walked in his shoes and tried to do perspective taking, and
it's like theory of mind.
Theory of mind. That's really good. Perspective taking is theory of mind. You're right.
That's a great answer you did.
Thank you, Paul.
I got a CIP question.
I think I'll keep you. And I have to tell you, and my last thing is to thank both you and Allison Singer for making this wonderful, wonderful evening and a dream come true for my public speaker up there. He's amazing, and you are.
Well, we're delighted, and Allison, I want to thank you. And I think, team, we have some. Hold on, there's one more thing before the last word. I think that. I don't know, I hear a bag, I hear some sound, I don't know what that is.
That was her.
Huh? That was her, yeah, okay.
I have a little thing for you we want to thank you for coming, and from the Yale Medical School, we want to just give you a token of appreciation.
Thank you very much for coming tonight, all Yale students, my family's friends, Allison Singer, and Dr. Wanton. Thank you very much.
And Paul, we want to thank you as well. You've done a wonderful job tonight. You did a wonderful job organizing this event. So we wanted to give you this special briefcase for you to use when you go to work, so that you'll remember what a wonderful job you did tonight, and it'll inspire you to do a wonderful job every day. And there's also a gift certificate for you inside here, so you can buy something special for yourself.
Thank you very much.
And we also want to thank Dr. Martin for his wonderful job tonight. He's going to be the next Phil Donahue or Larry King. Great job. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you all.